Walt Disney Company just suffered the worst box office debut for any movie in the history of the Mickey Mouse organization. Today, we'll tell you why that should be frankly impossible, and yet they've achieved it. How is it that Bob Iger has managed to lose money on movies like Freakier Friday and now this one? We'll explain on the other side. Welcome back, one and all. It's the channel where we heed the call for understanding entertainment, keeping you ahead of the culture curve. It's what we do each and every day. Thank you for coming our way. Click the like button, and here we go. And take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. The Walt Disney Company has suffered its worst box office debut in the company's history. This is out of the Daily Beast, and they're not going to say it quite that way, but hang on, we'll connect the dots, and we'll bring the receipts your way. Disney dealt dismal box office flop with new political dramedy. It says not even big Hollywood names saved Disney's movie. This is by Julia Ornedo, which could be Julia, but I bet it's Julia Ornedo. And here's the star of our film. Let's see what we've got here. Moviegoers were not too keen on Disney's newest political dramedy. Ella McKay tanked at the box office with only $2.1 million in its domestic debut. One of the worst openings in recent history for Disney, according to Variety. Hang tight, it's the worst. We'll explain why. The James L. Brooks directed film cost $35 million to produce. Boy, it's not making its money's back. You know, guys, before we go any beyond this, I just have to say, and God bless Jamie Lee Curtis. I mean, my gosh. Jamie Lee Curtis was in Freakier Friday, and I didn't think it was possible for Freakier Friday to lose money. I really didn't. The budget was like, people say a shoestring budget. No, they actually made it for shoestrings. And it still managed to lose money, which is impossibly difficult, but impressive in all the wrong ways for it to do. Jamie Lee Curtis is back in another one of these situations. They made this movie for $35 million, and God knows they didn't market the thing because you've never heard of it before. So all they had to do was get a measly $70 million back, and they probably broke even. And they can't do it. They can't do it, okay? Who's in it? Emma Mackey, Jamie Lee Curtis, Woody Harrelson, and Ayo Edebiri. $2.1 million debut. Now, real quick, folks. How is this not just one of, but the worst? Let's talk about it, okay? Let's go back down here. It says, only $2.1 million is domestic debut, one of the worst openings in recent history for Disney. Ladies and gentlemen, take into account, please, the more than inflation rise in the cost of movie tickets. I'm telling you right now, if you went back 7 or 8 years ago, this movie, based on the number of ticket sales, would have made like $1.1 million. If you go back 20 years, this thing wouldn't make $1 million because movie ticket prices have increased so much. Do you ever remember any time that Disney ever released a movie under $1 million? I'm telling you, this is the worst. We'll get the stats in just a second, but this is the worst in terms of tickets sold, butts and seats. You get the idea. And the only thing that's got it sitting over $2 million, literally the only thing, is the phenomenal rise in the price of movie tickets. Otherwise, it's in the 1 million range or lower. Disney doesn't release films that do this. Let me go to Wizard real quick. Wiz, your thoughts on Jamie Lee Curtis and the crew. How does Disney flop again? I mean, this wasn't even on my radar, Wiz. The budget's so low, I didn't count it as one of the movies that could actually cost Disney money.
And you know what? It's at times like these where the streaming business has decimated the movie industry. Because this movie, which was done on, and you know, it may sound crazy, but kind of a smaller budget compared to most Disney movies, but this movie's not going to make money back on DVDs. It's not going to make money back on Blu-ray. It's not going to make money back on 4K because, well, that business just doesn't exist anymore because Hollywood wanted to go the way of the streamer. And unfortunately, on something like this, with absolutely no marketing behind it and no butts in seats, there's no talk about it. It doesn't have good reviews. It's not even going to perform well enough on Disney Plus to warrant its investment in getting made. So this is what's going to be a complete failure from start to finish. There's no way for Disney to even spin that this, oh, well, this did numbers on streaming. It's not going to do enough numbers on streaming to make a difference.
Let me make this painful. Give permission to make it painful, guys. Can I do that? I hate to do it, Disney, but let's make it painful. Take a look at this chart. It's just starting. When you see the names over here, it's rough.
Oh no!
In blue. When was the Black Cauldron made? Does anybody know when the Black Cauldron was made? 1985. Not adjusted for inflation. An animated movie that just about sunk the company. Okay, You Sunk My Battleship was the Black Cauldron.
What, 3 or 4 years to make, as opposed to this thing that they probably shot in 90 days.
Right. The Black Cauldron. Look at this. It's Ella McKay is already rounding down, right? Wow. At least the Black Cauldron was hanging in there on day 26, day 30. It was still making some money, not much money, but this is where we are. The Black Cauldron, which is one of the most painful, one of the most just depressing Disney movies ever in terms of box office, looks like Mount Everest in comparison to Ella McKay. And again, without adjusting for inflation, we're comparing movies today to movies made in the 1980s, and the movie in the 1980s is winning. The Black Eye of Disney from the 1980s beats Ella McKay. This is unbelievable, guys. You know, it's like when we list out the flops that were going to come out this year, and I thought, Tron, it'll probably break even. Nope. It's like when I thought Freakier Friday, it didn't cost anything. It can't flop. Yeah, it can. Ella McKay, who's ever heard of that? They made it for $35 million. It can't lose money. Yeah, it can too. Watch what we can do, says Disney. Guys, make it make sense for a minute. Just make it make sense.
I'll make it make sense for you. Let us say that you had the idea for this film. And let us say that you got Jamie Lee Curtis and all these other people to agree to be part of it. And now you went to studios asking for money, a small amount of money for any studio in this day and age. Would they give it to you? No.
No.
But who would they give it to? Do you people have any idea who James Brooks is? Let me tell you. He co-created The Mary Tyler Moore Show, Taxi, The Symptoms, directed Terms of Endearment, Broadcast News, As Good as It Gets, 3 Academy Awards, 22 Emmys, and a Golden Globe. I mean, this guy has been responsible for a huge hunk of all of our... there would be no Simpsons. There would be no all of these things. So he's got the clout that if he says, I've got this idea, they're willing to give him $35 million, but only $35 million, not 300. I mean, for God's sakes, this man is a major chunk of the business for the last 40, 50 years.
So is it the marketing, Lou? Did they not? I mean, is that what killed this thing?
Let's talk about that. Somebody saw the movie and said, let's not bother to spend the money on marketing because it sucks.
That could be.
You see?
Let me show you what sucks real quick, Lou.
Not made just, by caveat. They looked at the film and said, good money after bad, let it die.
Let me twist this just a little bit more. I know it hurt before, but it's going to hurt way worse now. If you want to know how bad this is, folks, see this itty bitty little green down here? See that itty bitty little green down here? That's Ella McKay. You see this blue up at the top? That's Strange World. That is Strange World.
Mars Needs Moms?
Yes, I threw it in there just to really. Mars Needs Moms is outperforming Ella McKay. When did Mars Needs Moms come out? Like 2011, 2012?
Don't even.
Again, yeah. I mean, my gosh, people. We're looking at the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst. And Ella McKay makes them look like, man, you're climbing Mount Fuji at this point. It's incredible.
I wonder if we get a ride in Disney World for this movie.
I mean, when you talk about the marketing, if they'd only said from the guy that brought you Mary Tyler Moore and The Simpsons, Ella McKay, it would have sold more tickets the first week.
I mean, it had,
but they didn't even do that because it stunk that bad.
Anything they could have done would have sold more tickets because they sold none. So any strategy is better than this. I need to bring in a man who would understand and help us. Andy, they're telling me that maybe the era of these kinds of movies is just over. Maybe you can't make a little drama film without CGI and put it on the big screen. Maybe nobody will go see it. Maybe that's what this is. I don't think it can be that, Andy, because I don't think that washes away and explains away how badly this did. Andy, what is your answer for how in the world Disney is managing to lose money on a $35 million production budget with no marketing?
They don't know who their audience is, so they don't know who to market it to. And they don't know if something like this probably appeals to women because it's a female lead, it's a drama. Now, we've seen that women, I think, have broken the habit more of going to the movies than men have. If there's something in the theater that a man wants to see, we'll go see it. Women, at least with my wife, she's like, why should I bother? It's going to be on streaming in a few weeks. I'll just wait for it then. I don't feel like going and sitting in the theater to watch this. I think that they've really lost the female viewership. So unless it's something they really want to see, like a Barbie or something like that, they're really going to struggle. And they don't know who their audience is anymore. Used to be where you would make a film like this and people would go to see it because it would be a date movie or it reminds me of like when you put a name like this, it's kind of like Jerry Maguire. A lot of people didn't know what that movie was going to be about. And I think it's a similar thing with this, but less so. Once you put a woman's name on it, every guy in the world is going to be like, why do I want to go see that? That doesn't sound like there's any explosions, any excitement, anything like that. To Lou's point, James Brooks used to be a big deal. There used to be a lot of people that knew who he was and knew what he produced. I don't know that those people exist anymore that remember him and the great things he's created. So therefore, there's no built-in audience for his work, which is a shame.
But that's my point. They do remember those shows. And if all you did in the marketing was remind them, hey, this is the guy that gave you all of that, and they didn't even think that was worth spending money on. That's how bad they realized this thing was.
Just to make it as painful as I can, Lauren, I threw in Disney Snow White. Lauren, is there any other terrible performing Disney movie I could put on here to just emphasize how bad this must be?
I think you covered most of the recent ones. You could put Lightyear in there, I guess.
All right, you want to do Lightyear? Let's do Lightyear. Ready? We'll do Lightyear. We'll add it. And let's see.
No, it's the second one.
Yeah. We'll add that one. And maybe, what about John Carter of Mars? Look, Lightyear. This is making it worse. Look, folks.
It's off the chart.
What about Wish?
We have a movie. We'll get Wish in just a second, but look at this. We're not dealing with big numbers here. That's what's so funny about this. Lightyear topped 100 million, and look at the comparison. Look at this little thing. It's like an aphid. It's smaller than an ant. It's an aphid sitting down there compared to Lightyear that Disney was terrified of the performance. All right, what was the movie we're adding? Oh no, it won't let me add any more. Oh, we filled.
Max.
Well, phooey, just phooey. Oh boy, but that I think that does it. My gosh. We are down here. You can spend almost nothing. Lauren, they spent almost nothing. And they're getting almost nothing, well, worse than nothing back. Negative. I promise you, Lauren, we will make more money off this movie than Disney will.
Well, it's like you said, I hadn't even heard of this movie until you started talking about it tonight. I didn't know it existed. And I would bet most of the audience is probably the same.
And by the way, 2,500 theaters for this thing. That's only possible because so many theaters are dark.
Wait a minute. How many did you say?
Well, your chart just before this showed 2,500.
Oh my gosh. No way. Hang on.
And the question is, those theaters shouldn't be available because there should be hits in them.
Oh my. Folks, look at this. You need to make 1,000 per theater to justify being in the theater. The last day that we've got tracking for it made $176 per theater.
And that's all day, and it's not a long movie, so we got to figure what, 4 showings, 5 showings?
That's all day. Well, okay. So how much is the average ticket now, right? So $12. We can actually figure this out. So $12. So $176 in an entire theater. Let's say that it's on average $12. So 14 people.
All day.
All day. On average, folks. December 14th, went to go see this.
Say they'd have to buy a whole hell of a lot of popcorn to keep the lights on and leave.
This is unbelievable. Unbelievable. My, oh
It doesn't
my.
make me optimistic for the survival of theaters, though, because
Well, okay, so think about this. Think about this. Wiz, 176, okay? Half of that, unbelievably, goes back to Disney. The theater keeps half of it. So you're talking about like $86. And then Uncle Sam comes in and says, we'll take some of that.
That means they could buy 2 buckets of popcorn if they're doing the popcorn containers for the thing.
Man, I mean, just when you think there's no way they can lose money on it because they didn't spend on it, they find a way. Losers find a way. And put another one in the can, folks. A video of excellence has been birthed into existence, and you were there to witness it. Thank you for participating. We hope you had a good time. Folks, it's a great time anytime we get to share time with you, and we mean it. The only thing additional we ask, on the way out the door, consider clicking the like button. Share, subscribe, click it and stick it to those pesky algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below, and oh, by the way, if you would be so kind, perhaps share this out on your favorite social media platforms. Folks, we've got all kinds of content coming your way. If you are interested in going even beyond all of that, well, there's a Pro Store, and you can always find those items directly below the video you're watching. The Pro Store, it's a cool place to check out for items that, well, definitely Disney and the rest are not going to sell you, but we're happy to do so. Until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.